Hello and welcome to MAGNY-COURS and the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. Live tonight on V-Speed for race 4 of this fall season. Forward to another exciting night racing in the GT3 machines. These drivers getting through their qualifying session. Been a very fun season. Last week brought us the curveball of a night race, which we were not expecting. But definitely made for exciting action on the racetrack, and looking forward to another nice night of racing here at MAGNY-COURS. And this is going to be the 20-minute race format, as we've been doing for this season and a few previous seasons. Got 10 drivers in the field right now. Clint Fletcher, the fastest of them, qualifying at the moment. My name is Adam Baker, and I'll be your commentator here this evening. We want to thank you again for joining us here tonight on V-Speed. Let's head trackside and see where your favorite drivers are currently lined up in the qualifying grid, and we'll get the race started here in just about a minute and a half. We take a look at the qualifying times and our race analysis as well. You can see this track 2.74 miles in length, 17 turns. In tonight's format, dual 20-minute races, and the top 12 going to be inverted. We've got only 10 drivers in the field at the moment, so everyone's going to get inverted after qualifying as we go into the heat race session. And then from the heat race to the feature event, they'll also get inverted. So we'll see if anybody's able to overcome the invert and maybe sweep the evening. So far, top 3 looking very close in lap times. That is Clint Fletcher, Brian Kennedy, and Andy Scheel. Andy making his return to the series after a little time off. He was very dominant a couple of seasons ago. So we'll see if he's able to return to that form here, as we're 4 races in now. Point standings pretty tight towards the top. Clint Fletcher getting a dominating victory last week, but Brian Kennedy still holds very close up there to the points lead. They were tied going into last week's race, so it would be pretty close. We are getting closer and closer to the halfway point of this season. Looks like Clint Fletcher going to capture another pole, and there are points awarded for the top 15 in every session. And since there's only 10 drivers, everybody's getting points here tonight. Let's go to our starting grid in terms of qualifying time. See where your favorite drivers are going to be rolling off here tonight. Of course, cheer them on in the chat. Let us know you're out there and who you're rooting for, and we will follow along throughout the race tonight. Fastest in qualifying here from MAGNY-COURS, it's Clint Fletcher, the number 3 machine, with a 138.758. Very close behind him in lap time, though, is going to be Brian Kennedy. Just 7/1000 separating those two. Fastest in qualifying. In row number 2 in terms of qualifying time, Andy Scheel, 138.801, so he's within a half-tenth as well. Bruce Wiley, not too far off, about a half second or so, qualifies 4th fastest here tonight. Matthew Gazenda, 5th fastest. Peter Lanik, 6th. 7th was Mike Nickham. 8th is Dean Tulien. 9th is Colin Kortnick. And Scott Kim rounds out the field with a 141.418. So pretty tight spread amongst these drivers, as we've come to expect here in the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter. We get the cars rolling here. Take a look at our track conditions for tonight's event. 82-degree air temp, 100-degree track temp. That is a bit warmer than we're used to seeing in some of these races. So that could make for some interesting handling and the way the tires progress. You can see your field inverted. Scott Kim is going to lead us to the green flag tonight. Colin Kortnick going to be alongside Scott, pulling way ahead of the pace car. Not too sure what is going on with that. Be a wait the green flag. We'll get our track map up there so you're able to see where the drivers are at on the racetrack and the shape of the course here. 17 turns. This is a track that we've been to quite a few times. And looking forward to another night of amazing action. This race is sponsored by Gunfire Games and Duncan Racing Designs. Make sure to check them out in the video description. You'll hear more about them at the halfway break as well. They are great sponsors of this league. Duncan Racing Designs creating a lot of the paint schemes that you see here. We're on board here with Scott Kim about to get things going. We'll take a little different view as we come towards the green flag. Should be a lot of fun to watch these drivers battle it out, and the fast drivers coming from the tail end of the field. They'll have 20 minutes to get to the front. Can they make it through without issue? That is the question. A bunch of different kinds of cars in here as well. We've got Ferraris, BMWs, McLarens, Lamborghinis, Porsches, and Mercedes tonight. So really quite the variety. Only one BMW in here. For the BMW Car Club of America, you'd think there'd be a few more, but these guys do like different types of GT3 machines for different types of tracks. They all have their kind of pros and cons. The BMW, I think, is probably the best generalist kind of car. It's very good across the board. Some of these a little bit better in tighter tracks, some of them a little bit better on tracks with long straightaways, but all of them pretty close in performance. Will be being the two Ferraris at the front leading the way. We work our way towards the green flag. It's taken a long time here. It's a full lap of pacing around this 2.74 mile track, and the pace car is starting to drive away from these guys. I think we are getting pretty close now to the straightaway. Got to go through this last chicane, and then we'll be on the front stretch. This will be where the field gets that green flag and gets us going tonight for race 4. Green flag is out here from MAGNY-COURS. We're off and away. And we've got a car already off into the dirt, a couple of them, that is. And he comes back on the track. That's Colin Kortnick right into the middle of the field, 3 wide. Everybody keeps it together. No major problems there other than the lost track position. That is the 32 machine of Colin Kortnick falling to the back, or towards the back, rather. Scott Kim under attack from Dean Tulane. The BMW going to go straight to the point here. And going to see if he can drive away Peter Lanick. Also good to see him back in the Lamborghini, the copper Lamborghini Huracan. Andy Shield already up to 3rd after starting in 8th, so he is already on the move. Keep an eye on the 007. Andy Shield, always one to contend with in this series. We're used to seeing him in a Porsche, but tonight he's in the McLaren. And he is already putting pressure on the top 2 here in heat race number 1. Battle side by side. Clint Fletcher also moving forward up from 10th now into the top 5. And going to take 4th away from Scott Kim. Colin Kortnick still in 6th spot. As again, the lead battle very tight. Dean Tulane has it, but Andy Shield is right there. He's already at the back bumper. But it's going to be Tulane leading lap number 1. We'll take lap number 2 across the stripe. Lots of battles going on. Mike Nickham has pulled it off. We saw issues with Mike last week, and he has some damage on that car. We're gonna see if we can find out what happened to him. Oh, big contact there through the last chicane that we happened to miss. So Scott Kinn, Colin Kortnick were doing battle side by side. There was some stack up there. And ultimately, Mike Nickum with rear axle damage. You can see that car just not wanting to drive straight. We can go to more of an overhead view of what happened in that section. Just not a lot of room to work. They get really tight. He got drilled from behind. That was Bruce Wiley who ended up losing the front bumper. We will go back live and see. Looks like the bumper actually did not fall off, but it is severely crunched in on the 67 machine. Andy Shield, meanwhile, is taking the top spot away from Dean Tooling. So he has come all the way from 8th, 7 positions gained. But Fletcher's got to be thinking he's got to work through these next two cars very quickly, and he's going to make quick work of Peter Lanick to get up into 3rd place. Brian Kennedy's not had quite the same success as the other two fastest qualifiers. He's still back in the 6th spot and has quite a ways to go to get up even onto the same straightaway. You can see now Clint Fletcher looking forward here at the 84 of Dean Tooling, the only car that stands between him and Andy Shield. And it looks like Tooling going to go really wide off the corner. That's going to open up the lane for the Mercedes of Clint Fletcher. Was looking to go back-to-back if he can win here tonight. Already up to 2nd just now on lap number 3. Teal and Fletcher very close in lap time in qualifying. It would not surprise me that this gap may be even too much to overcome already, but we'll have to see as the run progresses who burns the tires up. With 100-degree track temp, that's going to be more likely than we are used to seeing in this series. Brian Kennedy, mentioned him, very close to the top of the point standings. It's him and Clint Fletcher really starting to pull away with the championship. Just a few races in, and Brian qualified 2nd fastest, but has only gained 3 spots in these first couple of laps, kind of getting checked up by all of the action. He's got damage, you can see on the front splitter there. So that is going to be difficult to overcome in this heat race. Meanwhile, Dean Tooling starting to feel some pressure from Peter Lanick, but not a great run through the chicane. That time actually sent the Lamborghini wide and through the grass. We're right on board here with Peter Lanick. And Dean Tooling keeps going a bit wide through that section. That is letting others make gains on him, but also allowing the BMW to get a good bit of momentum off that corner. Getting speeds over 150 miles an hour down to about 35, so that is quite a bit of swing in speed. That's your battle for 3rd, as Lanick trying to find some advantage somewhere around this track, keeping it just about 4 or 5 car lengths back. Brian Kennedy has closed it up significantly on Scott Kim. The two Ferraris set to do battle here in just a moment. That may actually happen straight away. They are nearly side by side. Brian gives a little tap to the back of the 711, and I am here. I've come from a long ways back to get here. And he is going to send it down driver's right and take the position away, move the 77 up to 5th place. No other real battles to speak of. Mike Nickum still at the back of the field. Did bring it down pit road at some point. Bruce Wiley also brought it in, so they are well behind the lead group. And not really set to do battle with anybody but Matthew Gazenda and Colin Kortnick. Gazenda right here in the Porsche, the lone Porsche in the field. Colin Kortnick, who started up there at the front, back here in the 8th position. in this one. Just trying to learn a little bit about how this car is handling and try and find some consistency. It's a good race to learn a little bit more. See what you can carry over into feature event. Fastest car on the track the last lap was Clint Fletcher. He's cut the gap down to 1.6 seconds. His AMG machine, see, just a little bit offline through there, goes a little wide, but really charging some of these corners, and that could be a problem later in the race. But again, cutting that distance down to nearly 1.3 seconds now. Not sure if maybe Andy made a mistake and has to serve a time penalty, or was serving a time penalty, but he is losing some ground here. Maybe trying to save his stuff, though. So preserve those tires for a few laps, give up some of this margin. Realizing that also aerodynamics play an effect on these cars. If Clint gets a little bit closer, he's going to start to struggle with the wake of Andy's car. And big power slide off the final turn. Clint Fletcher, the top two have broken away by over 5.5 seconds. Then it's Dean Tulin, Peter Lanik, Brian Kennedy making up the rest of the top five. Scott Kim, Matthew Gazenda, Colin Kornick, Bruce Wiley, and Mike Nickham making up the rest of this field. Right on board here with Brian Kennedy in the 5th spot. Might be able to see the effects of the handling, potentially. Or effects of the damage on the handling, rather. As he flies down the back straightaway here. All the way down to 35 miles an hour, back on the throttle. Starting to make gains quickly here on the 3rd and 4th place drivers. Really nice angles here from camera crew. MAGNY-COURS. Battle starting to emerge here between Dean Tulin and Peter Lanik. And Brian Kennedy slowly sneaking in to that one. We've got to change for position further back. Scott Kim falls to 7th now behind Matthew Gazenda. Not sure if Scott took a little detour there, but lost the position. After starting on the pole, he's down 6 spots, but still hanging tough in 7th. About 18.5 seconds off of your race leader. Side-by-side battle now for 3rd. It's Lanik, it's Tulin, and now it's Brian Kennedy. He's right there. He's arrived. And going to take on the challenge to get up there, maybe into the podium places. Already halfway through this one, Andy Scheel seeing his lead slowly slip away, but it's not a whole lot. It's about a half-tenth to a tenth per lap at this point. We'll have to see how hard Clint has pushed his car. Still diving it really deep into some of these corners. In some cases, that can affect this Mercedes a bit more than others. As contact there, Brian Kennedy's going to go way off the racetrack, misses the corner, and he's going to lose. It looks like he is going to lose 6th, maybe 7th and 8th, but he's actually just going to lose 1 position. Let's take a look at what happened as he was chasing down Dean Tulin and Peter Lanik. Had a really good draft. Looked like he's made a move and sent it into the turn and just did not get on the brakes enough. Not sure what happened exactly, but good on him to avoid major accident. Actually just barely missed Peter Lanik. We're going to take another look at the overhead view. Take a look at slow motion. That is how close it was. Maybe a little touch of contact to the one machine. Able to get it turned back around as we go back live. Brian Kennedy in behind Matthew Gazenda. So not what he wanted to have happen, as that battle for 3rd still pretty tight between these two, and also the lead battle now under a second Fletcher showing he's got good pace here, at least through 12.5 minutes. I'm trying to put a little pressure on the 007. Andy Shield nearly flawless most of the time when we see him here. Only a couple of mistakes that I can even think of in all the races that he's run. But Clint Fletcher, we know how fast he can be, how aggressive he can be. And he's going to be doing almost anything he can to get to the back bumper and put that much more pressure on. You know, looks like we've had a change for position again. Brian Kennedy's gone around Matthew Gazenda, so move him back to 5th, so right where he was after the mistake, or before the mistake rather. This is the battle for the race lead now, just 2 car lengths separating Andy Shield and Clint Fletcher, and it looks like Scott Kim's had a problem. He has lost control of his Ferrari machine. See what happened to him, just dove it in the corner. Looks like he just back end comes out from underneath and makes a little contact with Colin Portnick, and got able to get it rolling back again, but not until he falls back to the 9th spot. And cloud cover out now. That should help with the handling on certain parts of this racetrack. You can see still sunny over here now, going into the cloud cover, and look at this run, huge run by the Mercedes, just a bit quicker on the straight into the hairpin. They are separated by less than 1 car length, but the AMG Mercedes number 3 has arrived. Now has to find a way around. Just over 5 minutes to go. Went in really good position to make something happen. He's been able to close up from over 2 seconds behind. Consistently about 2 to 3 tenths of a second per lap faster. But these two by far and away the best so far in this race. Brian Kennedy could have a shot to get up to 3rd or 4th, depending on how fast he's able to run his Ferrari. These top 2 all over each other and almost a little bit of a slide. Huge run over the curb there for Andy Shield. You got to be careful not to go too shallow on those turns. Going to ultimately give you a penalty for course cutting. But look at this, just slinging these 2 GT3s through these twisty sections of the racetrack. That time Clint Fletcher maybe using a little too much of the track, but again, just about a car length behind, and nobody is giving an inch here. Andy Shield protecting the outside lane as they head into the hairpin once again, and it's all about getting a good run off there. It's just not quite enough for Clint Fletcher, but he's closer than he was last time. Shield hanging on as they work through the chicane. Back to the left, a little too deep possibly for Clint Fletcher, but could help him on the exit of that corner. No, it's actually going to hurt him this time, and a little bit of the curve there gets that car stepping out. The McLaren a little bit more balanced, the Mercedes a little bit more muscle car with that big front hood and the big engine up front. And look at that big send into the corner. That is going to be costly. Clint Fletcher had to go to avoid Andy Shield. That's what it looked like. Almost got into the back bumper. And it's going to cost him a little bit of ground. Has to regroup. They work through the cane there. Just 3 laps remaining in this, with the lap time still about 1:39.5 for the leaders. Brian Kennedy actually the fastest car last time around. Would expect that to be a similar situation this time. Even with the damage, that 77 is a car to look at for the second race. He's going to be starting closer to the front than your two leaders. Pretty good action so far in this one, even with the field being relatively small. Battle is now on for third. Tully and Peter Lanik going at it once again. We've seen them side by side a few times. Nobody lifting out of it early here, but the one with the preferred groove will be able to hold on to the position for the moment. They'll have two and a half more laps or so to sort this position out. Lamborghini, Peter Lanik doing everything he can to hang on to these spots. Slips the back end just a little bit right there. Out in front, Clint Fletcher has not been able to gain back in on Andy Shield. He probably used up a little bit too much by running into him there, and coming back to 2 laps to go. This is actually going to be the white flag, what we're seeing. They had estimated that we might run 13 laps, but it looks like we're only going to run 12. Andy Shield just has to make it around 15 more corners to secure the heat race win in his return. Starting all the way back in 8th. But on a really great run here and holding off Clint Fletcher, who's been the fastest car so far tonight. That being said, Andy Shield was quickest in practice. And these two very, very close overall. See, he used a lot of the curb right there. Sometimes that's helpful, sometimes it's not. Peter Lanik still hanging on over Dean Tully, and we had a quick change for that position. They flip-flopped right back. A little bit of lights being flashed. Keep an eye on the leaders. That is all happening for third, about 18 seconds back. That's how far these two are out in front. And Kennedy's halved his distance up to third and fourth, but I think he's going to be just a little bit too far back to make anything happen. And out of the final turn, it's going to be Andy Shield taking the heat race win. Clint Fletcher comes home in second. Valiant effort there. Battle's still going to be on for third. Peter Lanik has it. There is Tulian who wants it. He is right there on the back bumper coming out of the final chicane. Checkered flag. Third place is Peter Lanik. Great run between those two. Brian Kennedy able to hang on, and he's going to pile in there for fifth. Matthew Gazenda, Colin Kortnick. This is the tradition here in this series. Doesn't look like we'll have any contested positions further back. So we'll pull up the results for this one. Cars go sliding and flying through. That is your results tab from tonight's heat race. We're going to go to a quick halfway break. We'll be right back with your feature event here from MAGNY-COURS. From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, trading paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox.
For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com. And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
Cabot,
where did he come from? Here comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Welcome back to the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League. Race number 4 of the fall season from Circuit de Nevers MAGNY-COURS for our feature event of the night. Looking forward to a very exciting one. It was already an exciting race for our heat. Let's take a look at where your favorite drivers are going to be rolling off here tonight for race number 4. Looks like it's going to be Peter Lanik rolling off from the top spot in this one in the Lamborghini. He'll roll off from first. Mike Nickham, Batmobile, going to be starting from second place. Dean Tulien starting from the 3rd spot. He had a great run there. Got Kim starting in the 4th position in this one. Bruce Wiley going to be rolling off from 5th. Colin Kornick starting in the 6th spot. Matthew Gazenda starting in 7th place. Brian Kennedy rolling off from 8th. Whit Fletcher starting in 9th. And Andy Shield round out the top 10. So I'm not sure exactly what the invert format is. It's a little bit different because that is not exactly the flip-flop of the finishing order. See if they changed the rules on that. If we got any race info or announcements here. I'm not seeing any updates to the rules necessarily. It's an interesting way to invert the field. Not sure where some of these drivers, where their starting positions came from. Maybe there were some penalties after the last one. Not too exactly sure about that. Should be a good one either way. Make sure to cheer on your favorite drivers. Let us know you're out there, who you're rooting for, who you think is going to win tonight's feature event from MAGNY-COURS. First, like, share, subscribe. Your friends and family who are interested in sim racing content. We got great stuff here on Thursday nights and pretty much every night of the week. A couple good series coming up on Saturday and Sunday with the Saturday Night Racing League, as well as the Sunoco Cup Series. If you're interested in the NASCAR side of things. All right, here on iRacing. Do appreciate all the support here in the last couple of years, especially. The channel really has grown quite a lot, and all thanks to all you viewers and fans out there. And these great leagues with awesome sponsors that make it happen, put on great content for us to show. Take a look at the weather here tonight. As we've gotten into the feature event, the track temp has only gone up. Looks like the air temp about the same, but that sun just continuing to bear down here on MAGNY-COURS, and 111 degree track surface temperature. That is going to be pretty significant as green flag is out. We've already got cars spinning. That is Mike Nickum getting turned around. Not sure if there was additional contact, but he is already going to be pretty much out of this one. We were coming through the chicane, a really tough spot to start a race. And Nickum on the curb there makes a little contact with Dean Tulane, gets turned around, facing the wrong way, and he gets tagged by Clint Fletcher. Oh boy. And now both of those cars heavily damaged. Clint Fletcher, no front end on his Mercedes. That is going to be a huge impact to him. Andy Shield has gotten through. Pull up our top 10 leaderboard. Shield up to 7th after starting in 10th. Brian Kennedy right here behind him, but there's actually quite a good distance between the Ferrari and the McLaren. Clint Fletcher, we'll see what that damage does to him. But you see Dean Tulane off the racetrack. Able to keep it pointed in the right direction, but he'll give up a spot as a 007 up to 6th now. We'll see if Bruce Wiley poses much of an obstacle. As Bruce takes a peek at driver's right on Scott Kim, not quite able to make it work right through there. And really, already on the back bumper is Andy Shield. See further back, Brian Kennedy putting the pressure on Dean Tulane, and he's going to take a peek. Driver's right, send it down into the corner. He had a move similar to that in the last race. It didn't work out. This time he's going to be able to complete the pass. And Andy Shield has not been able to get around Bruce Wiley, but he is right on the back bumper. Peter Lanik going to lead lap 1, and he's got 5.5 seconds in hand. For Peter finished 3rd in the race prior, but was well behind. Clint Fletcher's brought it down pit road. Mike Nickum probably going to do the same. See, no, he's going to stay on the racetrack at least for one more lap as Clint gets rolling. The battle starts behind Colin Kortnick in 2nd. After starting in 6th, he's gained 4 spots. Matthew Gazenda, Scott Kim, Bruce Wiley, Andy Shield, and Brian Kennedy. Dean Tulane also closing back in on this. Could be a really good fight amongst all of these drivers, and it's tough to pass. If you're even relatively close in speed, it is tough to make passes in a league as competitive as this. Bruce Wiley putting that pressure on the 7-Eleven. Scott goes into the corner, sends it down in there, and Bruce well offline. That could open up an opportunity here for the 007 to do the crossover. It's a perfect crossover move. And he's going to move into the top 5. Brian Kennedy going to have to try and follow suit if he wants to keep up. Not able to make a move just yet, but you can see trying to set up on the exit, and now they're working into that final chicane, and he's got a really good run. Now takes it to driver's left across the start-finish line as Andy Shields gotten around Scott Kim as well into turn number 1. And then turn number 2. Now working through turn number 3. Brian Kennedy's gotten through, but Scott Kim gave up the 5th spot or 4th spot to Andy Shield, who has his sights set now on the podium. Peter Lanik doing what he can to at least maintain the current lead. Ran about the same lap time as Andy Shield, and already over 4 minutes knocked out of this one. Side by side, Scott Kim, Brian Kennedy. That will be a position gained for the 77. And now Bruce Wiley going to try and follow on through. He was following Scott for quite some time, not able to make the move work fully there. They will race down into this very tight corner. It looks like Scott able to hold on for the moment. Good job defensively. Currently running in 6th. See what Clint Fletcher's able to do in this race. I mean, he is over 15 seconds back behind Dean Tulane, but we know his pace good enough to probably get up there and maybe even contend for a top 6 before it's all said and done. And if any of those drivers start to make mistakes, go off course or spin, he could be right there to take advantage of that, and that'll be important for the championship. Obviously finished 2nd in the first race. And this one, Peter Lanik's driven away now. That gap over 6.5 seconds. And here we go, battle for 2nd. Colin Kortnick and Matthew Gazenda. And they're going to get together, and Andy Shields going to go right on by both of them. Take a look at that replay. Look, Matthew Gazenda to go overhead. He takes a move down here, really sends it into the corner. This is similar to what we saw happen with Brian Kennedy, but they make contact, and ultimately Matthew gets back on the throttle, almost loses control. That's going to cost him a position. And now could lose another one here potentially to Brian Kennedy, but Peter Lanik, basically 7 seconds flat out in front. And he's running very nice lap times on 140.6 this last time. Before that, 139.9. And we'll see what it looks like at the stripe. Andy Shields just that much quicker though, 139.74 on this last lap. So nearly a full second faster than Peter. Those two, the fastest other than Clint Fletcher, who's in the 138s, but again, kind of running on his own. He also has the fastest lap of the race. Scott Kim, Bruce Wiley continuing their battle. They're going to swap positions. And Dean Tulane also right here trying to take advantage. He'll look the driver's right. No room to run, though. Scott kind of closes that off, but it opens back up. And down into the hairpin. Oh, just like we've seen so many times. Just could not get on the brakes fast enough with Scott Kim. Let's take a look at the replay in this one. He took a peek to driver's left, and yeah, it's just Bruce Wiley on the brakes earlier, I guess, than Scott expected. Able to avoid all the way back to 8th place now, and looking forward a bit further, Ryan Kennedy has gone by Matthew Gazenda and into 4th place. Will be very good for his championship, and Peter Lanik closing in, getting closed in on by Andy Shield. Getting my drivers' names all twisted up right there. 0.7 of a second last time. That is going to be just about quick enough. See if Peter Lanik's able to hold on and reduce his mistakes to a minimum. He's going to have to find a 10th or so per lap if he wants to be able to hang on to this thing just by a tiny bit. Battle should be emerging for 3rd as Colin Portnick seeing the purple number 77 close in. And that's the difference right there, about 1 car length. And even less as they work through that hairpin. Peter Lanik doing exactly what he needs to do, though, to potentially win this race. Although just lost a big chunk of time. Not sure if it's just that set of corners. There's a little contact back there for 3rd. Brian Kennedy going to muscle his way through. Take a look at the replay here. I think it was actually a big slip by Colin Portnick that allowed the 77. That is exactly the case. Gets on the throttle, and no contact even made there at all. It looked from the initial angle that they had made contact, but Colin just getting that car a little bit sideways. Now Brian Kennedy moving into the podium. See if he can keep up with Andy Shield. Still about 6 seconds back. He's got a little bit of nose damage on that McLaren. And we're past halfway in this race. Who is going to end up taking the victory? Could come down to the final couple of laps. As we're working now lap number 7. Looks like we will just have a 12 total times around in this feature race. We are back live now. Lanik still 5.6 seconds. This last lap, they were only about 0.2 apart. And Andy Shield having to work that McLaren as much as he can. And Brian Kennedy is actually a bit quicker right now. This could be a battle for 2nd before it's a battle for the win. They may not ever make it to Peter Lanik. That is a pretty big margin. Lanik's going to have to make a mistake somewhere. And looking very consistent right now. He's been in the low 140s lap after lap. That's just about the right pace to not really burn the tires up. We'll work back towards the start-finish line. Big hit over the curb right there. Andy Shield working out of the final corner. See Brian Kennedy as well. And then 4th and 5th, not too far back. No other battles just yet. Scott Kim has lost a position, though, to Clint Fletcher. But we were saying, if Clint just keeps pushing forward, as Matthew Gazenda's gone around, we will see other drivers have problems like this, and he's going to try and pull onto the racetrack. Got some damage to the nose of that car. It looks like steering might be affected, and he is going to lose a spot or 2. Let's see what happens. Down into turn 1, and the back end of that Porsche just came around, and he's going to take a big hit to the tire barrier. Let's take another look. Didn't quite get a good shot of that. pretty big hit right there. Comes to rest in the gravel and able to get it rolling again, but back here in 8th now with damage. See what he's able to do. Was putting down pretty nice laps before that happened. The car looks like it's still drivable, at least for the moment. Doesn't have significant steering damage to the point where he can't make it around. But it's looking like the front track, you can kind of see that tire sticking out. Could be a little bit more cambered than it's supposed to be. It will affect the handling when you hit the wall that hard. Especially the front splitter being completely bent up and dislodged from where it's supposed to be. Taking a look at second place again. Just 6.5 minutes left in this race. 4 laps to go. Difference now under 4 seconds. Peter Atlantic starting to lose a little bit of ground. Did not have a good lap. Ryan Kennedy's time didn't come through, but he's kind of just maintaining this 3.5, 4 second distance from Andy Shield. It'd be a lot to ask for him to catch up to 007. I don't think he's that much faster. Peter Atlantic really good in a couple sections of this track, though. He's able to extend, you can see, up over 4 seconds, but pushing pretty hard still. Just has to be careful not to slip off the track, use too much of a curve or something like that. Give up nearly a second a lap. He wants to hang on to this for the win. And that's just for Andy Shield to get there. He is closing again. The gap back under 3.5 seconds. Just through those few corners that he is really, really good. As we've got an issue for Brian Kennedy. He's gone around. Bruce Wiley and Colin Kortnick going to go on through. What happened to the 77? He was running in 3rd place on the podium. Oh, it gets too much of the curb of the car. You can see when it landed. Just not very happy about it. Slides across the track. He's going to fall back to 6th. Just 1 position ahead of his championship rival, Clint Fletcher. Not what he needed to have happen in this one. Battle for the lead getting closer and closer. It's under 3 seconds now. This is going to come down to the wire, I think, between these two. You can see that distance just that much closer, and it's really just these two drivers at this point. Colin Kortnick is 10 seconds back. On board here with Andy Shield, just trying to see if he's doing anything through these corners. See, using so much of that curb. Trying to arc this corner. Gets back to the throttle a little too early. Slips the back tires. That's the area I think Peter Atlantic's been just a little bit better on this racetrack. But it's through some of these really high speed corners. And then on the hairpin area down here, Andy Shield's just been a little bit better. But that time, Atlantic very solid through there. Didn't really give up much time. Come to the back end of the racetrack now. Shield also just charging these turns that much more. Runs through the chicane nicely, closes up a little bit. That gap 2.8 seconds this time, but yeah, Peter Atlantic had one of his better laps of the race. That was a very nice job to try and defend against losing this. Cannot afford even one mistake at this point. Two minutes and 45 seconds to go from MAGNY-COURS. The battle is on for the win. We've also got a battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th with Colin Kortnick, Bruce Wiley, and Dean Tulane, all separated by less than 3 seconds. We'll keep an eye on that one. But right now, Peter Atlantic, he is on a heater of a lap. So slipped up just a little bit right there, lost some time. Andy Shield just a little bit quicker through there. This is looking at Colin Kortnick, who holds third place. Bruce Wiley in fourth, and Dean Tooling in fifth. 2 minutes left in this one. The gap for your race lead, just about 2.3 seconds. The Shield, not his best run through the hairpin. Gonna have to find some speed. Peter Lanek kind of missed the corner just a little bit, but he's carrying really good speed in that car. And white flag is going to be shown here from MAGNY-COURS. Race number 4 of the fall season. Peter Lanek took the lead straight away. He has led all the laps to this point. And he's trying to hang on here. Andy Shield has charged from last in this one. May come up just one position short of the sweep tonight. But he's going to give it everything he's got here. He's going to have to run the lap of his life. Be the fastest lap of the race if he could get up there. But it's just about 2 seconds. I mean, it's still impressive to have closed. And he does have a little nose damage. If he didn't have that, we might have seen even a different result. Battles on. Back here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, not too far back. And even Brian Kennedy's gotten in on the action. There could be a change for the podium. These guys are really going to fight for it here in the last few moments. The gap for the lead, 1.6 seconds and ticking downwards. Or was ticking downwards, but not so much now. Peter Lanek really wide through that part of the track. Going to cost himself a little bit more time. And Shield just about 5 or 6 car lengths. That's really pretty much all it is, but it may not be enough. They're coming into the last few turns. And it looks like it's going to be a Lamborghini going to victory lane. As Peter Lanek through the chicane takes the checkered flag. What a drive from Peter Lanek to win here at MAGNY-COURS. Battle for 3rd. Colin Kortnick going to be able to hang on to it. It appears Bruce Wiley charging into the chicane, not going to be close enough. And Dean Tooling losing a position to Brian Kennedy in the closing moments. That is important for the championship as they pile in across the stripe. Clint Fletcher finishes in 7th behind them. And how about the carnage here in turn 1 for MAGNY-COURS? The SEO Mike BMW flips onto its roof. No other battles for position. It looks like everybody's come across the line at this point. And that is going to do it for our feature event here tonight from MAGNY-COURS. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back to interview the top 3 and go through our race results.
From the starting line to the finish line, and everything in between, Duncan Racing Designs is here to supply you with the livery you didn't know you needed. Let DRD help you look good so you can drive fast. Contact Duncan Racing Designs on Instagram, trading paints, or via email. This season of the BMW Car Club of America National Capital Chapter Sim Racing League is brought to you by Gunfire Games, developers of the hit game Remnant 2, now available for PC, PS5, and Xbox. For more information on Remnant 2, visit www.remnantgame.com.
Back at the racetrack now, going to be pulling in our third place finisher here tonight. If we can get Colin into the booth. Hey, Colin, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Hey Adam, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, man. And what a result for you here tonight from MAGNY-COURS. You come home in third place after starting in sixth. It was kind of an up and down night for you here, but just describe your race here tonight.
Sure. Yeah, no, thanks, Adam. Yeah, I mean, fun time as always with the guys. First race was kind of a bummer. I just was struggling in quali. Like I was just much faster in practice. I just couldn't put it down in quali. So I think some of that frustration came into the first race. Second race, I just kind of, didn't try to overdrive and just, let the race come to me. And, obviously there's a lot faster drivers out there, but I think Brian was trying to catch Andy, and he was chasing that opportunity and, overdrove the car a little bit, which, allowed me to get to third place. So I'll take the points for sure. But, tough track. I think we could all agree that there's one turn that's probably our least favorite on the track.
Yeah, there's definitely a few of those out here, but yeah, one notable one. We saw a lot of close calls and major incidents happening in that area, but yeah, you come away with a third place finish. You're looking pretty good in the championship standings. I think in the third spot after this one. How do you feel about going to Road America next week?
Road America is a great track. I'm looking forward to it. I feel like we haven't been there in a while. It's a high-speed track. It'll be great with the GT3. So expect maybe a big turnout for that one, and we'll push it. So see if we can get maximum participation and make it a really exciting race for everybody to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It was a fun one out here tonight, and you come home on the podium. We'll see if you can go do it again next week. But anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll just give a shout out to Brian Kennedy for overdriving in that race so I could get the podium. So thanks, Brian.
A little friendly banter there, but great job,
yeah,
Colin.
But no, go Gaspern, man. Happy to see Gaspern on the podium. Good job to Peter. Yeah, I know he's had some tough races this season, and to see him on the podium, that was great.
Yeah, definitely a great run for him and Team Gaspern. So congrats on that. Go celebrate and catch you at Road America next week.
I will. Time for bourbon. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Sounds pretty good after this one. Definitely some close calls that he'll be thinking about, but able to come home with the third place finish. We're going to go now to second place, and that's Mr. Andy Shield making his return. Hey, Andy, this is Adam in the VC booth. You got a copy?
I do. How are you?
Hey, pretty good, man. Great to see you back out here, and you put on a show for us. As always, making a lot of passes out there. Came up just one spot short in this one, but what did you need differently there to maybe close that final second and a half that you just didn't quite have?
Well, it's just the front end's got a little bit damaged on the first lap down into the hairpin. Checked up a bit, and then unfortunately went into the back of Dean and caused the front aero to be hindered a little bit. So I was down a little bit on the top ends down the straight. So was always going to be struggling to kind of bridge the gap, and Peter pulled away a pretty decent gap at the start after the shenanigans there, so it was always going to be tough, and Peter did a great job kind of taking it to the flag there.
Yeah, and you were still the fastest car even with the damage there in those final few laps. Really cut it down from over 6 seconds, actually I think over 7 seconds at one point, down to just 1.5. So obviously had the fastest car. And you won the heat race as well. Had heavy pressure from Clint Fletcher in that one. Just describe, him closing in and holding him off there for those final handful of laps.
Yeah, that was interesting. The McLaren's a little bit tricky with the traction control and with the curbs. If you hit them wrong, when you land back down, the traction control kicks in quite aggressively. And you almost stutter to get away. So I was losing a tiny bit of time because I was pushing so hard, and I also cooked the tires. But not to take anything away from Clint. Clint was phenomenally quick today, and really kept me honest, and I could just see that gap coming down, and I think I just pushed it a little bit too hard in a couple of the heavy braking zones and got a bit too much into the ABS and cooked the tires a bit, which then for the next half a lap or so you're really playing a difficult game just to try and keep the car on a good line through some of those some of the more technical parts of the track. But no, it was some fun racing.
Yeah, and just a lot of fun to see out here and battling and passing and all the the level of competition always getting elevated here in this series, and it's great to have you out here with them. We go to Road America next week. You think you'll be out there for that one, and how do you feel about that track?
Yeah, I hope so. Plan to race now for the rest of the season. So it's been good to get back and race with the guys again. So looking forward to next week. I'm sure it'll be close again as it always is.
Yeah, that's a fun one. I think a lot of drivers excited about that track after a handful of these that have been almost super speedway like in ways, but tonight no different. A great show and great showing by the 007 out there. Anybody you want to give a shout out to for second place tonight?
Just shout out to yourself for calling the show, and obviously Scott and the admin team for putting the series together. So bit of fun for everybody on a Thursday.
Yes, sir, indeed. Thanks for taking some time here, Andy. Go celebrate, and we'll catch you at Road America.
Thanks very much. Speak to you soon.
Thank you. That is second place finisher Andy Scheel making his return to the series. Comes up one position short in the feature, but winner of the heat race, and he's going to come out of here with a lot of points tonight if he can maybe climb his way through the standings after missing the first few races. Let's take a look at our race winner, though. We haven't gotten a chance to talk to in quite some time, Peter Lanning. Hey, Peter, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, Adam, hey, I see you.
Well, what a result for you here tonight. You lead flag to flag, and you had drivers starting to, get closer and closer. Andy Scheel there and Brian Kennedy at one point, they were starting to close the gap, but man, you were putting down some amazing laps in the closing moments. Just describe tonight's race, between the heat, finishing on the podium there, and coming away with the win here in the feature.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. It was good to be back and practicing. Here helped quite a bit, just getting comfortable with the track. I did get lucky. It looks like there was a little bit of an incident right after that first chicane that allowed me to form a little bit of a gap. And while the tires were good in the first 10 minutes, I was able to maintain my gap, which felt good. I was starting to jive with the track. It's nice not having any traffic around you, of course. You just drive your own perfect line. And then I saw the guy starting to close in. Andy almost made it. Fortunately, we ran out of time. I think he was within 2.5 seconds. He had really good pace in the McLaren, but I just enjoyed being out and racing with everyone. And of course, it feels good to be in the front. Starting in the front certainly helps, and I was glad that I was able to hold that position.
Yeah, really great job out here to do that. You did have kind of a little bit of help just at the very start, but you helped yourself too. You had the pace, you pulled away, and really it was just you and Andy in the closing moments. So, huge credit to you in the way you drove here tonight between both races, coming away with 2 podium finishes. That is very impressive here tonight at MAGNY-COURS. We go to Road America next week. How do you feel about going out there and trying to follow this one up?
I like Road America. It's a really good high-speed track. So I have to check whether the McLaren, the Lambo that I'm driving is going to be competitive there. The Beamer tends to have a good pace, so it's going to be time to do a little bit of testing. At least I already know the track, so I don't have to spend extra time learning the track like I had to with MAGNY-COURS. But yeah, look forward to Road America. I plan to be there, and looking forward to the forecast and hanging out with you all.
Yeah, it should be a fun time. We'll see if you can get another podium finish out there, maybe even another win. And I was going to say, I think this is the first time we've had a Lamborghini win a race here in this league. I can't remember a Lamborghini ever winning, so congrats on that. But,
thank you. Yeah, first time I think I'm racing it in the season. I think maybe Mike Pobolano ran it a few times, but well, way to go, Lambo. I'm glad we finally put it on the podium.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you get the win here tonight after a fantastic drive. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Shout out to Gasburn, of course, but just shout out to the whole group. It's good to hang out with the guys, and it's good to see everyone back for another season. And appreciate you being out here as well and hanging out with us and doing the broadcast.
Yes, sir, and thanks for taking some time here, and congrats on the win tonight. Great job here at MAGNY-COURS. We'll catch you at Road America.
Thanks, Adam. See you there.
Thank you. That is your race winner, Peter Lanning, a very happy man and a race winner here tonight from MAGNY-COURS. And let's take a look at the rest of the results. Before we head on out for the evening, it is going to be Peter Lanik taking the win. Andy Shield closing in rapidly in those final few laps, but not quite close enough. 1.4 seconds behind. He'll come home in second after winning the heat race. Colin Kortnick finishes in the third position. Bruce Wiley finishes in fourth. That was a close battle in the final few laps. Brian Kennedy able to overcome his mistake to some extent and finish in the top five. Good recovery there for the championship. Dean Tulien finishes in sixth. Clint Fletcher able to get a couple more spots before it's all said and done. He finishes in seventh. Matthew Gazenda in eighth. Scott Kim in ninth. And Mike Nickum took in the wall early in this one after getting turned right at the very start. So unfortunate for him the way that race went. But he'll come to the 10th spot tonight. We'll be headed to Road America, as you heard throughout the post-race here. We're headed there next week, so tune on in next Thursday. But again, races on the channel pretty much every night throughout the week. So tune in right here. Make sure to like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Check out tonight's race sponsors, Duncan Racing Designs and Gunfire Games. Help support the sponsors that support these leagues. And we thank you so much for tuning in here on V-Speed. Have a great night.